Welcome to the Executive Hub Show, the show that we have a focus where we share tips and strategies to help you grow your business from successful entrepreneurs. My guest today is John Richmond. Welcome, John.
Thanks for having me.
And great to have you. And we're talking about the blueprint for building a high performance legal team. We're going to talk about technology, AI, and building a team. And I look forward to this conversation. Let
Uh,
me do the proper introduction to John, and we're going to dive right into it. So, John Richmond is the co founder and CEO of Richmond Vona, one of New York's top personal injury law firms. But is more than just a lawyer. He is a builder of businesses, teams, and a firm that is turning heads in the legal world. His journey started with a passion for helping real estate people stand up to big insurance companies. Over time, he discovered that winning cases is one thing, but building a firm centered on culture, leadership, and accountability is what really drives long term success. From growing a high performing team to leading with purpose, John will share what it will take, what it truly takes to scale a law firm the right way. John, great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Whereabouts are you?
I'm in Buffalo, New York, pretty close to Niagara Falls in Canada.
Love it. And what's it like out there right now?
Not great. Typical Western New York weather, a little gloomy and rainy on and off, but hey, we've grown to get used to it here.
Fantastic. Is it sunny or no? Is it warm or?
Unfortunately, no. We're right on the lake, and so we get all this gloom, especially in the spring. So we have a little bit longer to go before our nice summer start.
Oh yeah, same here. I'm in Calgary, and it snowed for the past couple of days.
Oh man.
And as soon as you think that it's warm and it's spring, it snows again. It's like no, don't 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 assume things. It's still
I get it.
you know it's Canada. Anyways, so let's dive into it, John. What is your story?
Sure. So again, I'm John Richmond. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Richmond Vona. We're a personal injury law firm based in Buffalo, but serving injured people throughout New York State. And my journey takes me back to growing up in Rochester, New York, which is about an hour east of here. Grew up two amazing parents, an awesome sister. I was really privileged that my parents hadn't come from a lot, but worked really hard to create a great life for me and my sister, and instill great values in us. And as you know, in Canada, hockey players are a different breed. I think I'm a different breed, and that was my life growing up. Two great hockey parents. I was a goalie, and from an early age, I really learned the importance of preparation, of attention to detail, and really learned to love being there to be there for my teammates and being accountable and bailing people out in tough situations. So as I kind of got through college and played in college, I realized pretty quickly there wasn't a position in the NHL for a 5'9" goalie. So I said, hey, I've always kind of been drawn to the law, and in particular, I really wanted to do something to help people. So went to law school down in the New York City area. Went to work at a really big trial law firm, a plaintiff's trial law firm, meaning only representing people who are injured by others or big corporations, and spent a long part of my first part of my career, I should say, working there and trying a lot of cases and really learned what it meant to be there for people in arguably the worst time of their lives. And as I was doing it, I worked with great people and learned a lot, but realized, hey, I want to put my own spin on this. I think the legal industry is antiquated. I don't think it's necessarily known for having workplaces with great cultures, and I think that can be really detrimental. So I moved back up here to Buffalo, close to where I grew up. Briefly worked someplace else to kind of get the lay of the land here and get to know the community, and then approached my current business partner and started this firm in really late 2019, right before COVID. So timing couldn't have been better, but I guess that takes me up to today, and proud of what we've accomplished in the last 5 years. But we're just getting started.
Love it. So, what inspired you to start your company? Was there like a specific moment or idea that got you going?
I think it was kind of like a build up, right? There's a lot of different things happening. I enjoyed the people I worked with at my last firm, but I really felt that entrepreneurial spirit kind of bursting into my body. My dad was an entrepreneur. I think I probably got it from him. And I really, you hear all the stories, right? They're pretty common. Like, hey, I want to do this for myself. Hey, I want to create opportunities that maybe I wouldn't have working for somebody else, all those types of things. But for me, I really saw an opportunity to change the way people think about personal injury lawyers. And that's really, at the end of the day, what we're working to do. And I really feel like and felt like back then that it starts with creating an amazing firm culture. I would see my friends working at tech companies or advertising agencies or whatever, and they'd have these great cultures and really feel part of the mission from those businesses. And I just felt like that was missing. So ultimately, that was the reason why I wanted to start the firm to build a group of people that are aligned in their values, their mission, and their vision.
Fantastic. Love it. With a focus on the team and an aligned vision. That's like a lot. I know for a fact a lot of companies are missing that, the alignment with the team, and having a good team is like I think in the book Good to Great, Jim Collins mentions like the first step is putting the right team together. So it's essential.
That's an amazing book, by the way, for anybody who
Yeah.
hasn't read it. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, right? I mean, if you think about it, right, especially with our industry, we're asking people to go above and beyond to help people who are going through maybe the worst moments of their lives. And it can be really tough, right? People are scared, they're stressed. There's a lot going on. They really need to be educated and need a lot of help throughout this process. And we're battling these huge insurance companies, huge corporations who are really just trying to bully people. So you really need to have a team of people who all share the same values and are really aligned in that mission, because when times get tough, you have to be sitting there and picking each other up and make sure you're motivating each other to put your best foot forward.
Absolutely. So what do you guys do today, and who do you serve?
So yeah, so we all we do is personal injury, meaning we only represent people who are injured due to the negligence or the intentional acts of others. So our day to day is representing injured New Yorkers against big insurance companies, big corporations. To fight hard to get them the compensation they deserve, to get their lives back on track, to make sure that they're able to provide for their families, to kind of have a semblance of normality after such a crazy event kind of jars them or drastically changes their life. So we take great pride of it, and it's literally all we do all day, every day. We don't do any other type of law, and that's how we'll always be.
Fantastic. Um, what are the different types of cases that you guys work with? What are the different types of injuries? Because I know, like up in Canada, um, some people don't even know that there are personal injury lawyers that if they get in an accident, they should go talk to a lawyer, and there's like so much they could get from insurance, but they're not educated or they don't know. So give us a little bit of a rundown on what type of cases you deal with, and I guess how it works.
Sure. So the way it works, first and foremost, something that's really important to remember is the way we work in the States with personal injury firms is we work on a contingency fee basis, meaning we don't get paid unless we win. And that's
Mhm.
in order to level the playing field against the insurance companies, big corporations, because if they knew we were charging by the hour, they would know that the vast majority of our clients could never afford to basically hold them accountable and take it the distance with them. So that's the first thing that we always tell people. But we handle everything from car accidents to motorcycle accidents to semi truck accidents to construction accidents, injuries on property, and there's like kind of a lot of nuances with that. And then one thing that my firm does is we handle product liability cases. So dangerous products that usually very seriously injure people, or for instance, like asbestos products that cause cancer, like lung cancer and mesothelioma. So we have different lawyers, different teams internally that have different specialties, so that we can be sure that we have that expertise in those types of cases, and that the clients are getting the best representation that we can offer and that they deserve.
Fantastic. And to be honest with you, I love your energy. You look like the type of lawyer that is easy to deal with, and you got a smile on your face. Like sometimes when you talk to some lawyers, they're so serious, and it's not easy to deal with.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, look, we got to be yourself, right? I don't come from a family of lawyers, so I wasn't really exposed to that growing up. And I've always been taught to be good to people, that it's important to get to know people. And I think people are really interesting, right? And in addition, like, I just love what I do. I'm really passionate about it. I'm really proud of what my team is building here collectively. Because again, I'm nothing, and me and my partner are nothing without our team. So it's just fun to talk about. And I love talking about business, right? I feel like I got the entrepreneurial bug like later in life. A lot of people are like, oh, I had a newspaper route or at lemonade stands. I honestly didn't do that. I was consumed in hockey, but so it's all exciting to me, and I like to learn as much as I can.
Love it. Well, let's work on a case study. Keeping your clients' privacy, if you have to.
Yeah.
Give us an example of a client you work with. What was the challenge that they were dealing with, and how did you help them?
Yeah, so I think maybe one that stands out in my mind that's relatively recently, and one that we're really proud of, was a really serious car accident case where a really great guy was driving on a nice summer day, had his dogs in the car, and was just, he had the green light. He's going through the green light, and unfortunately, an elderly woman took a left turn in front of him and caused like a really, really high end impact. It was really, really bad. It was really tragic. He survived, luckily, but was very seriously injured to the point where he was never going to be able to work again. His life
Wow.
was turned upside down, right? And so think about that. 1 second everything's fine, the next second, you're wondering, how am I going to put food on the table? Who's going to pay for my kids to go to school? How am I going to support my family? I can't work anymore, right? And so, luckily, we got involved very quickly. We work quickly to make sure that no one can talk to our client, and we handle everything from ensuring that all their medical bills are paid, ensuring that they're getting all the best doctors, the best treatment, and then really putting up, a united front against the insurance company, who is designed, like they all are, to try to pay pennies on the dollar. And they really know which lawyers are going to fight hard and which ones aren't. So we take great pride in our reputation, but we were able to put that all together for him. And one of the things that we're able to do, because of our use of technology and our systems and our processes and our people, is to get people great results a little bit faster, sometimes a lot faster than other firms. So we had a great result for him. He's somebody I still keep in touch with today. And we're proud of the work that we do for people like him and others.
Fantastic. That's amazing. Yeah, I think in a lot of accidents, people get paralyzed and they can't walk or work anymore, and next thing you know, they are dependent. I saw a case. I don't know how old this case is, and I think it was in California, where an elderly man was held by a cop and he got paralyzed. And I think that made a lot of in the news too. Do you know which case I'm referring to?
I'm not sure if I know the exact case, but unfortunately, there's been a few of those cases over the last few years, and I have no doubt that I probably read about it, and sadly, you probably read about not just necessarily that type of situation, but really serious accidents more frequently than we wish we would. Um, but yeah, I'm sure that was pretty high profile, all things considered,
Yeah.
especially considering the parties.
And I think recently, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but he got like 20 or 30 million dollars. He sued their police department and he got some money back because the guys was he was just couldn't walk anymore.
Yeah, and you know what most people don't understand is like, okay, yeah, you're getting $20 million, but first off, I guarantee you, without even knowing that person, if you said, "Hey, it's either you can live with this situation, I'll give you 20 million bucks, or we can go back in time and make sure this never happened," he or she would take that in a split second, because that
Yes.
20 million, they're not getting rich off that. That's 20 million to pay for in-home nursing care, to pay for
Yes.
handicap accessible vehicle, house. I mean, it's they're big numbers, but that's because that's how expensive that stuff is over many, 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 many years in the future.
Yes. 100%. Yeah. Health is not replaceable with money.
Nope, not at all.
Not at all. John, what makes your company different compared to the rest of the lawyers that do personal injury out there?
So this may sound oversimplified, but I really truly believe that the main reason that we're different is because of our team. We have placed a huge emphasis on hiring the right people who align with our values, who have high growth potential, and who really embrace change and innovation. And that can't be understated, because I think a lot of firms go out there, they say, okay, I just want to hire somebody with this much experience, that much experience. Okay, you're good enough, right? For us, we focus on the person. And look, that created some pain points early on, because maybe you make mistakes, like everyone does early on in years when you're building a firm, or you just got to be patient because you're growing people and you're training them internally and you're providing these opportunities for them. But it takes some time because maybe they were kind of new to the field, especially our non lawyers. But our culture and their willingness to grow, to work hard, to go the extra effort for people, and to really embrace our systems, our technology, and to go above and beyond for clients and even help them outside of our necessary, technically, like our legal responsibilities, is what really separates us. And that, over time, with that high level communication and that accountability, really starts making an impact and starts spreading by word of mouth. I think which is a lot more powerful than any marketing can do.
Absolutely. I love that focus, the team hiring the right people and focusing on change and innovation in an industry where I know historically is very resistant to change.
Yeah, it still is, to be honest. I mean, even with all of the massive innovation with artificial intelligence and we there's so much technology available to lawyers now. I swear, still to this day, I think most law firms are really resistant. Maybe that's because all the baby boomer law firms, and they're thinking, hey, I'm not going to be around that much longer. And, I don't really want to invest my time and energy into this, or I don't understand it, or it scares me. At the end of the day, I mean, it's true. Law firms are really resistant, but we need to be the opposite. There needs to be a sense of urgency when it comes to innovation, when it comes to development, when it comes to adopting AI. Because if you're not running at the as fast as the fastest person in the pack, you're going to get left behind. So it's
All
really
right.
important to us.
Yeah, technology and AI is changing a lot of things. Like you said, let me ask you, how do you use technology and change and innovation in your company?
Yeah. So I mean, look, it starts with having really sophisticated CRM, client management system, phone systems, to really create efficient workflows to make sure we can sign cases fast. But now, obviously, over the last year and a half, AI has become a huge part of our practice. And I spent a lot of time studying change management, and really I'm still working on this, right, to make sure people really understand the urgency to adopt AI. And look, and it's about the framework, right? I mean, AI is not going to replace humans, but humans with AI are going to replace humans without it. So finding ways to use it, and using it in ways where really, like, the person's time could be better spent doing something else. So say you have thousands of medical records. Well, typically that would take days and days and days for a skilled paralegal to go through them and to outline it. Now you could have AI go through basically in a few hours, like thousands of pages, and summarize it. And there's other ways we can use it to analyze large volumes of records, help us make quicker decisions, all that type of stuff. So it's really important.
Are you? Would you be able to like give us some cases or ways that you guys use AI in your company to stay up with the, I guess, the AI trend?
Yeah, so I can even give you some examples of tools that anybody could use, right? So
Sure.
now, so there's, like, obviously there's ChatGPT, there's Anthropic. I mean, one I think is interesting is Google Notebook. Now, one thing I will say to be careful is it's not HIPAA or SOC 2 compliant, so don't be putting any medical records in there. You can't, not in this one, but you can create these custom notebooks in Google Notebooks. So say you say, okay, we got this lawsuit, we got a police report, we got all these witness statements, we have the summons and complaint, all the discovery, all the pleadings, the deposition transcripts. You can put it all in there and you can talk to it. You can say, hey, I took 10 depositions and each transcript's 150 pages. Are there any witnesses that I didn't think to talk to? Or what are the strengths and weaknesses of my case, right? There's all these things that you can do to help you kind of streamline your analysis so that you're getting to the decisions faster and not getting bogged down or in the weeds with all the kind of like the minutia that you really shouldn't be spending your time on.
Absolutely love it. I think that saves like tens and tens of hours, if not hundreds, just in case analysis and making summaries and understanding what's going on and putting the
Yep.
pieces together and you name it. Like,
100, yeah, 100%.
like, do you? So, and what I loved you mentioned is like the strength and weaknesses of my case. Like, do you ever ask it to like give me talking points when I'm like, about this, where I'm like arguing in the court or whatever that the case may be?
So Yes and no. So I'll say this. There's some firms in the U.S. who have been in the spotlight lately. Who've gotten burned really bad on their use of AI when it's hallucinated and given them either fake cases or false information. But excuse me. So we're careful. But basically, you can use it as like a jump off point, right? So I always
Yeah.
tell people like, you should never think of this as, hey, I'm going to type a couple things in, hit this button, and like, I got it. This is all I need. It's more about to get you started, right? We've all
Yeah.
had those times when, oh my God, I want to write something, but it's taking me forever to get started, that writer's block. This helps you kind of jumpstart that process and get
Yes.
going. And then sometimes helps you think about things differently than you would have, right? So
Hmm.
maybe you got your main bullet points, but there's two or three things I wouldn't maybe necessarily thought of saying them that way, or
Hmm.
maybe I want to say something in a little bit more persuasive manner or more empathetic. Like I think those are good ways to do it, but it definitely can't replace our lawyers. But we like to joke that it makes them bionic a little bit.
100%. I think it's a good starter point, or to get a layout, or to get some feedback, but still an experienced lawyer or someone that knows what they're talking about or doing, understanding law and different consequences of what's going on, to take a look, be like, yep, this makes sense. I mean, like you said, AI is not 100%.
Nope.
It's still improving. It is in its initial baby steps, but God, the waves that it's making is beyond amazing.
I mean, it's crazy, right? The rate of improvement, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's growing and developing so quickly that, you just have to be careful because the second you get used to one platform, a new one pops up. So I think it's just about finding the ones that work for you and trying not to be overwhelmed by it and just using it to your advantage and taking your time with it.
Is AI helping speed up processes on your end quite a bit?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're not using agentic AI. I think that's a little ways off in terms of, using AI agents to actually like complete processes like within CSMs or CRMs. I don't think we're there yet, but it's just making like we're talking about, right? You're a lawyer, right? You think about lawyers staring at books or like, piles and piles of case files, like reviewing them. Now they can take them and review them much quicker and get like
Yes.
the big points so that they can start moving the cases along. Same with, think about young lawyers, right? How
Yeah.
long it would take them to go through these things when they've never seen these things before. It takes that much longer to process and digest. Now they're able to be brought up to speed much quicker, or even be given samples to then feed the AI and help them, kind of put their own spin on things. So it's definitely making us a lot more efficient. That's for sure.
Love it. Love it. Speeding up the process, making it more efficient. Um, it seems to me like the people, or even say, let's use the legal firms that are using and employing AI in their processes, are going to be well ahead of their competition. Because, like we talked about, legal industry is one of the more resistant industries. What do you see there happening?
Look, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. If you're not using AI already, you need to start using it immediately, especially in this industry. But yeah, a lot of law firms are going to get left behind. There's no doubt about it. And look, that just happens, at different points in history, right? I mean, think about, I was a little young at the time, but when the internet came out, right, I'm sure there was a lot of law firms back then who said, hey, this thing's a fad or it's not going to stick. I mean, I grew up in Rochester, New York, where Kodak was like this godlike company where every kid I knew had a parent who worked at Kodak, and Kodak said, you know what, digital photography is going to be a fad. It's going to go away. And now Kodak's basically gone,
They're
right?
gone.
Which is nuts, right? So yeah, I think the time is now, and the AI again, just I think people get really intimidated by it, and it's just kind of like that natural resistance to change or being scared of something new and different. But look, it's not a fad; it's here to stay. It's improving at such a drastic rate; it's
Yeah.
actually nuts.
Yeah.
So you got to get on board now and start learning the basics. Don't let it overwhelm you, and just keep grinding away. Otherwise, you're going to get left behind.
Love it. Where do you see the legal industry like in a 5 years with all the technology advancements happening?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of people hypothesize that, maybe AI, especially like we're talking about agentic AI, could be, negotiating cases or, you know, making arguments for attorneys. I don't know about that. What I think is, especially for a law firm like mine, the firms that use these are going to not just level the playing field against big insurance companies and big corporations, but start to have an edge, right? Because, with AI, if we're able to look and we're able to say, hey, we can now actually measure and track what all these insurance companies are doing, these corporations are doing, and help ourselves, help our lawyers internally negotiate better, value cases better, digest large amounts of information quicker, and then really generate flawless, almost attorney drafted documents. I mean, that'll save so much time so the lawyers can focus on really being counselors at law, being advocates, really getting to know their clients, making sure they're not missing anything, and removing all like the tedious, like little kind of like desk work.
Yeah, yeah. As you were talking about that, I was imagining like a courtroom where there's an old lawyer representing the insurance company and some kid fresh out of school with a phone and an app with AI access. It just comes in, pulls the rock from their feet, and boom, they win. The guy goes, "How did you just do that?"
I couldn't agree more. I'm telling you, it's going to like drastically increase the way people, can do that. Like, there's no question about it. Like, young people are being able to learn much quicker now. I mean, and it's going to level the playing field. Yeah, it's gonna. You got to be careful with it, right? Because you don't want them to skip necessary steps. But I think you could use the AI to train them better, right? To
Yeah.
bring them up to speed.
Yeah, I think that just the time factor alone to prep a case, to get ready, to write up, to put everything together is a huge factor. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. It takes a long time to prep for things.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, preparation is everything, right? And you have to be extremely detail oriented. So it
Hmm.
can take a really, really long time. And, look, at the end of the day, insurance companies are designed to drag the cases on as long as possible. They have their money invested, they make money off the float. I mean, it's legit, right? Warren Buffett talks about it. Like, that is what they're designed to do. So we're designed to push the pace as quickly as possible. And I think what's going to happen is over time, when it's just widely accepted that all these firms are using AI and really all the ones that are left standing, the courts are going to be able to move these cases faster because there won't be these excuses like, oh, well, their discovery demands are so long, it's going to take us forever to do this, and yada, yada, yada. Like, that's not going to exist anymore. The courts are going to say, hey, I know you're using AI. You guys are basically, it's a standard now. You have to be using it. So we're going to be able to move these things quicker, unclog the court systems, and hopefully get to fair resolutions a lot faster.
That's right. I think the judges are going to use this too to make decisions.
Yeah, I think there already are. I think their courts are getting tutorials on it. It's going to help them. Again, it's everything with a grain of salt right now because these things do hallucinate. But there are companies like legit like legal research companies that now have like these AI tools, so you can rely on those a lot more for things like case research. So everyone's starting to use it, and like, yeah, that it's moving when the courts are already looking at it.
Love it. Love it. I think it's going in a good, positive direction, and I'm happy with the direction the world is going. Like on my end, the speed of software development has gone up 1,000 times with AI, and I'm guessing it probably is happening, reducing the time probably by 1,000 times, if not more or less. The speed is amazing.
Yeah, I think you're seeing it across the board. I was listening to an interesting podcast with Eric Schmidt, former CEO of Google, and he was talking about he's like, this is going to drastically change people's lives in ways that maybe they can't even imagine. Like, the world is going to
100%.
look so differently in 5 years. And I do think it's important, right, to have some guardrails on it because like he was saying, I've heard a lot of people say, it could be used for evil. So you do have to be careful. But I think it's interesting. It's like one of the very few times that you're seeing large tech companies actually go to the government and ask for help, saying like, "Hey, we need you to help us regulate this a little bit." Typically they don't want nothing to do with the government regulation, but it's like, "Hey, we need a little bit of help here because we do see how there could be some downsides." But for the most part, this is a really positive thing, and it's going to make life better for everybody.
Absolutely. Um, John, give us some of the milestones that you guys have achieved along the way since you started, for what I remember back in 2019.
Yeah, so we started the end of 2019. So we just passed our 5 year anniversary. And, look, first and foremost, I'm just most proud of what we've built together here. Our entire team is amazing. we're very fortunate. And look, we've made some mistakes along the way, but we really have an amazing group of people now who've really bought in. So we've been fortunate to get some recognition, which really I believe is all for them. But we back in 2023, the nation's largest law firm growth company, CRISP, gave us the Excellence in Team and Firm Culture Award. Last year in 2024, we were number 393 in the Inc. 5000 fastest growing private companies list. That was made us actually the fourth fastest growing law firm in the United States. We also last year, and I'm probably even more proud of this one, won Inc. Best Workplaces list. There was only like 500 companies on the list. We just won Buffalo Best Places to Work. We were one of the best places to work here locally. So I'm most proud of the culture stuff. I mean, obviously, I'm really proud of the growth because that's a testament to our team and all their hard work. But I'm just really proud that we get recognized for building a great culture collectively here. Because at the end of the day, I think that's what this is all about.
Wow, that's a lot of achievements in just 5 years. How big is your team right now?
So all in, we're close to 40 people. I think maybe around like 38 all in, including me and my partner. Um, so yeah, I mean, it may not seem big. I understand that to like other industries, but for our industry, we're
That's a
basically
big law
already,
firm.
yeah, we're considered like a medium sized personal injury law firm in the first 5 years, and we have no plans on slowing down. We want to make sure we're getting better every day. We have a saying, 1% better every day. Get better every day, grow every day, whether it's in numbers or in other ways. It's important to us.
Amazing. Do you guys only operate in New York, or do you operate in other states as well?
So we only really truly practice law in New York State. I mean, some of us are licensed in other states, but we keep our eye on New York State. So we represent people throughout the state, all the big cities, including New York City. We do have times where people from other states give us a call, and if we can't help them, we make sure we take the time to set them up with a law firm that we trust in another state. So we have developed a little bit of a national presence, but we're really only still serving people in New York.
Beautiful, beautiful. What would you say are some of the challenges that you guys faced while reaching those milestones?
How much time do you have? No,
Give us the short version.
yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Look, I mean, I think the biggest challenge, right, is finding the right people, and getting the right people who believe in your values, your mission, your vision. Especially because when you're brand new, nobody knows you. And so when you get people who put their trust in you early on, that's something you never forget. It's something that we take really seriously. But I think the challenges are, especially in our industry, it's such a competitive marketplace. Like, people in the United States, I mean, there's personal injury marketing everywhere, and like, people hate it. Like, I get it, right? And in this day and age where attention is such a scarce resource, it is so hard to build a brand, when you're just competing with law firms that are spending millions and millions of dollars a year, right? And you have this like tiny marketing budget. So you got to get real creative, right? But I think, scaling like anything is difficult. What worked for you, when you were, basically 5 people doesn't work at 10 people, and so on and so forth. And when you're growing very quickly and systems and processes are becoming outdated so quickly, you have to really, go back to the drawing board, get the right people who can really help you build scalable systems. Because I think that's a real big challenge, regardless of what industry you're in. But yeah, when you grow fast, it's difficult, and you just got to figure out how to do that. And luckily, we're in the information age, and there's tons of people and places to learn.
Beautiful. What would you say is maybe holding you or your business back right now?
That's a great question. I think the only thing that can hold us back is ourselves, right? I think like any business, we have to, it starts with me. I'm working on this every day, is get better and better about delegating, right? And trusting people to make decisions. So what the big thing I'm working on now is saying, we got all these amazing people. I'm going to try. It's not that I don't trust them. It's like, but it's kind of a tough thing when you're like the founder. It's like, hey, I think I need to be done my way. But you know what? My way is not always the best way. Usually it's not the best way, right? We got a lot of people that are smarter than me here, right? So delegating to them and saying, hey, look, I know you used to, I would ask for something, you would pull the information, review it, present it. Now I need you to pull, analyze, review, present, and then make some recommendations, right? Let's move quicker. The saying in tech, right? Move fast and break things. It's why? Because you want to get to failure quickly. You whether it's you're making a product, get the product to
Mhm.
market quick, like a cheap version. See if it fails, see if it works. Just move quicker. It's okay to make mistakes. We learn from those mistakes and keep moving. So I think the only thing that can prevent us from growing at the rate at which we want to is if we don't continue to find ways to move faster.
Love it. What I really absolutely love what you said is you said fail quickly, and
Yeah.
it's okay to make mistakes because, um, again, and I don't mean to bash your industry. In an industry where a lot of people are resistant to change and they're probably don't like to make mistakes and they don't see it as a good thing. If you're open and able to make more mistakes and learn from it and move forward faster, especially with all these technological advancements that are happening, I think you'd be well ahead of the competition out there.
100%. I mean, look, you've heard it called what analysis paralysis, like all these different things, right? Most people like have this idea in their head, or like they know they should do it, but they can't do it. They can't bring themselves to
Mhm.
do it. And talk about opportunity cost, right? Or people like, especially a lot of lawyers, right? Because a lot of lawyers are really high fact finders. Like they want to have all the information before they make a decision. It doesn't work like that. Like, if you try to have all the information, which you're never going to have, you're never going to change. I mean, and I'll tell you a funny story. Talk about law firms' resistance to change. When we came out the gate and put up our first billboards, we purposely, like, we want to be approachable and want to be how we really are. We don't wear ties most of the time, right? So on the billboards, we don't have ties. You have no idea the number of old lawyers who sent me mean messages being like, I can't believe you guys aren't wearing ties on your billboards. It's
You
like,
guys are not professional.
yeah, it's crazy. I was like, hey, man, you do you, we'll do us, and we'll see what happens.
Interesting. Wow. Um, yeah. Tell us about who's had a major influence on you as a business owner.
I mean, look, a lot of people, but honestly, I'm going to go with my parents. My mom was a speech pathologist and the director of special education for multiple school districts. My father, an entrepreneur, still to this day owns his own masonry business. I was very, very lucky. I mean, you don't get to pick your parents. I was very, very lucky, and they instilled in me from a young age, hey, work hard, be good to people. And, my dad would always say, look, you need to always be curious, you need to always be hungry. And he always had a saying, which was like, you're only as good as your last game. Or actually, what he would say was, what have you done for me lately? Meaning, like, hey, when people put their trust in you, you have to take that really seriously. You got to be good to people. You got to work hard. You got to be curious. And you know what? You got to be patient because, a lot of people just don't have the patience. They can't handle the fact that they're going to put in all this work and they're not going to see any rewards. I mean, it's really hard, starting a business. Like you work day in and day in and night. You put everything into it and you don't see anything for a while and you're just failing and failing and failing. And you just got to keep your head down and keep moving. And I don't think I would be like this if it wasn't for my parents. Actually, I know I wouldn't be. So I'm very, very lucky to have them help me build such a solid foundation. And then, of course, to find good mentors along the way.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Um, um, what is one thing that most people don't know about your company, but they should?
Great question. I mean, I think that people kind of see from the outside, like, maybe creative advertising and a lot of growth. I don't think they understand, how system process oriented we are internally and how seriously we take running the business. We take it really seriously. We spend tons and tons and tons of time, learning from all these different CEOs and learning about change management. And, I'm obsessive about podcasts, whether it's like Alex Hermosi or, you name it. I'm like just obsessed about marketing and building the business and really, really building something that's like a lasting legacy and something that where we can reimagine positions within the firm, create great growth and great opportunity for our loyal people, and build something different uh, than at least our community's ever seen before. We take that really, really seriously, and I think sometimes, with personal injury firms, all you see is all this advertising, and they're probably just throwing crap against the wall in there and just like getting paid big bucks. That's not how it is. It's a lot of hard work, especially when you're focusing hard on doing things the right way.
Yeah, I think with you guys, for what I see and I feel, as The fact that you are open to change and you have a good team and you got a good energy that separates you from 99% of lawyers out there.
Yeah, you got to try, right? I think the biggest thing is high level communication. It's one of our core values. It would always boggle my mind working at other places where, someone would make a decision, and had they simply just asked a few people in the room, they would have realized that, like, objectively that wouldn't work, and it would have saved a lot of money and time and pain. So for us, we want everybody's input. We want professional feedback. We want them to be involved in decisions, because at the end of the day, they're out there, actually on the front lines, and we need their buy-in from the beginning.
Fantastic. John, what does a typical day look like for you?
I'm very disciplined. My wife would probably laugh about that, but basically, I'm up every day around 4:45 a.m. I'm at the gym by about 5:15 a.m. Get a workout in, get back, hang out with my wife and the dogs for a little bit. Then I'm off to work. I usually get here around 7:45 p.m. And each day I have, or 7:45 a.m. I mean,
Am.
each day, obviously, I have meetings, but I have also times that are blocked off, or I just have like kind of private thought, or, I can work through some things, some creative time. But I usually just stay in here, work through the day unless I'm out, meeting with people. And then I try to leave here if I can by about 6:30 each day, so I can go back and decompress. I look at each day as like, look, I'm going to work as hard as I can, be as efficient as I can every day, so that at the end of the night, I get some time to kind of decompress.
Beautiful. That's a good, lovely routine.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Haven't always been able to do that, but because of the team, I'm able to have some downtime now.
Beautiful. Up at 4:45, gym at 5:15, at the office 7:45, blocked off time, creative time, leave at 6.
Yeah,
Boom. You got it.
let's get it done, right? I mean,
Yeah.
look, I think it's important to have a routine, right? And you just got to build the habit. Once you start building it, you can't imagine not doing it, right? And like, a lot of people say, I can't believe you go to the gym in the morning. Like, look, there's a lot of times I go and I don't necessarily have the best energy in the world, but I'm still there. I'm still doing something, whether it's like cardio or lifting weights. It's like, just makes you feel better during the rest of the day.
I go to gym too 3 times a week, but and I tried the morning and morning didn't work for me.
Yeah,
Evening works better for me.
yeah,
So I was like,
you gotta
I'm
do
not going to
whatever
fight
works for
my
you.
body.
Yep,
Yeah, whatever works for you, stick to that.
yep,
But and then like how you said you don't have the best energy every day. Sometimes I'm like I'm tired because I go like 6 7 p.m. Some days, and I have a workout partner. We work pretty well together. Some days I'm like, oh, I don't feel like going today. And he calls me. He's like,
yeah, yeah,
get your ass out here.
yeah.
We're working out.
That's the thing. You're never going to regret going, right? Even if
Yes,
you go there and you just walk on the treadmill for an hour, like, you
yes.
will feel way better than if you didn't go. Because if you don't go, especially if you have a habit of going, you're gonna be thinking about that all day long. You're like, oh, why didn't I do that?
So on the days that I'm the most tired and the days that I'm the most stressed, I really appreciate the fact that I push myself to go to the gym because after the gym, I felt great.
Yeah,
Almost always.
100%.
There's not a day that I regret going to the gym
Nope,
yet.
couldn't agree more.
All right. Um, do you read books, John?
Yeah, I read a lot.
Give us Give me two of your favorite books of all time.
All right. So I'll start with Radical Candor by Kim Scott. Amazing book that really teaches you about the importance of clear and honest feedback, about actually caring about people who work with you, and the importance of that fast feedback and being honest with people, even when it can be hard. And another one I really liked recently, again, these are business books just because of where my head's right now, is Simon Sinek's Eaters Eat Last. It comes from that mentality of, your team comes first. Uh, you have to always have their best interests in mind. It's from that military mentality where the leaders in the military eat after the soldiers below them. Uh, Sinek's also just like an amazing speaker. He has great online courses about public speaking and just really thought provoking kind of guy. But those are two great books that I think would really help like any prospective or current leader. And those are things that you can kind of like immediately take into the workplace. That'll really help.
Beautiful. Great books. So Radical Candor by Kim Scott.
Yep.
Did I say your name right? And
Yep.
then
Yep.
Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek.
Yep.
Great books. Great books. I've read his Start with Why.
Yeah.
That was
Amazing book.
another great book.
And they both have a lot of TED Talks too. So if you wanted to see like kind of what they were all about, you can pull up like their 15-minute TED Talks, and I think people will find them interesting. They're on a lot of podcasts too.
Fantastic. John, what's one piece of advice that made a big impact on your life or business?
You know, I'll go with the business. You know, by trade, I'm a trial lawyer, and the first, however many years, 10 years plus of my career, all I did was represent people, try cases, and I love it, right? I love being there for people. I love being in the courtroom. But, when I started this firm, I had the opportunity to speak to several law firm owners around the country who run firms that we aspire to be, some version of, right? These are big, amazing firms that do great things for people in their communities. And they all told me, like, they would ask me, like, hey, what's your vision? And I would tell them. And they'd say, hey, look, one piece of advice I'm going to give you is as soon as you can, you have to choose to be the CEO. Like, you're not going to be able to be that trial lawyer anymore. You're going to have to hire the amazing trial lawyers and train them from within. That stuff's really, really important, but there's only going to be, this is your vision. Like, you're going to be the one that has to like kind of see this through. You have to take the responsibility of being a CEO and learn what that means, right? Because I don't know how to run a business before we started doing this. I'm still learning every day now. So with the first opportunity, I was able to do that with the help of my team and shed my cases and really focus on running the firm. It made a drastic impact, right? And I think that's one of the reasons, there's many, but one of the reasons why we've been able to grow so fast is because we have people who are focusing on the things that they really want to do, that energizes them. It's kind of like that divide and conquer mentality.
Beautiful. Great advice. Choose to be the CEO instead of the guy running, in the middle and trying to handle everything.
Yeah, you can't do it all.
So you started 2019, right?
Yeah.
What time or what year did you get that advice and made a switch, the mental switch to run the company instead of being a runner?
So I actually had that advice before we started the firm. So I spent about a year quietly planning, talking to people, and so I knew that was the advice, right? But I also knew that was not a reality when we started the firm. So I don't think I really stopped handling cases or stopped taking on new cases until probably around early late 2022, early 2023. So basically, for the last 2 years, I've been just operating as CEO, running the firm, helping to build out this side of the firm. I still oversee litigation, but I have, awesome lawyers that I meet with each month, and they, they're all like highly motivated people that do a great job. So I don't even really have to worry about them. My role is really just to show them data, to help them make better decisions, to help them give clarity into their cases. Maybe seeing things that I'm seeing on my end. So it's been about 2 years now, maybe a little bit more, and there's no turning back now.
I love it. Do you guys have any plans to expand to other states or towns or cities?
So yeah, I mean, so we currently we have a small office in Niagara Falls. Our headquarters is in Buffalo. We have a small office in Williamsville, a small one in Rochester, New York, which is east to us. And we have plans to continue to go on throughout the state. We're going to focus on New York for now. We love the state. It's conducive to what we do. It's not like some of these other states where there's limits on what you can do for people, that type of thing. So we're going to stay here for now, but we definitely have a goal
Big
of going
plans.
to other states and going national. We just want to do things one thing at a time. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves.
Love it. And so if you had to pick a state, would you pick like the adjacent state next to you guys, or is there a state that you're like, I'd love to have a presence there?
You know what? I'm going to keep that a secret because I don't want anybody knowing in the other states
All
where,
right.
where we're coming. Uh,
Okay.
no. But in all honesty, we would probably stay on the East Coast, but we'll see where we decide to go next.
Beautiful. So I have a personal question. You
Yeah.
know the show Suits?
Yeah.
How close is that show to the reality of law firms?
Look, I get that question all the time. Of course, I think there's some there's some comparisons, right? For sure. But I think obviously it's over dramatized, right, or whatever you want to call it. It's they need to make it spicy for TV, right? And
Right.
I don't think I always, it's funny. We always tell clients for depositions, like, trust me, this is not like you're going to see on TV. Usually, no one's going to be yelling at each other. People are going to be respectful, even when the stakes are high. So look, I'm not going to pretend like I've ever worked at a big corporate law firm. I've always worked on this side of the bar. Um, but talking to my friends, who have, there's a lot more drama added in the show. But of course, there are some similarities for sure. You get a lot of characters, especially at bigger firms, or depending on the type of law that you practice.
Interesting. Yeah, but my one of my buddies, he was arguing that that's how a legal firm in New York, that's what it's like. I'm like, I don't think so.
Look, I'm sure some are closer to it than others, and I know that big firms in New York. I mean, I worked at one. A lot of stress, a lot of pressure. People are basically living at the firm. But yeah, you got to take everything with a grain of salt that you see on TV.
For sure. For sure. John, is there a question that I should have asked? And if I did, it would have added value to people who are watching or listening?
No, I think I appreciate all giving me the time to talk through kind of what I'm passionate about, what we believe in, why we believe we're different, and I just genuinely enjoy talking to you about it. And I appreciate the opportunity.
Great to have you. I really enjoyed our conversation. I know a handful of lawyers with hearts, and you are a new addition to that list.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
And so I really enjoyed our conversation. Where can people find out more about you and reach out and get in touch?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active, and I love connecting with new people and learning from people. John Richmond on LinkedIn. You'll find me. You can also visit our website, www.richmondvona.com.
Richmond,
Vona, Vona, richmondvona.com.
richmondvona.com. So, gang, if you're watching or listening, you want to get in touch with John if you have a personal injury case, I guess preferably in the state of New York, reach out to John Richmond, search for his name on LinkedIn or go to richmondvona.com. And I guess if you could they reach out to you if they're in other states and they want maybe
Yeah,
direction or
yeah, for sure. And I would just welcome the opportunity to talk to anybody about business, about life. Happy to help any way I can, and love to learn from other people.
fantastic, fantastic. We didn't get to talk about Alex Hormozy. I'm a huge fan of his as well. But I guess we're running out of time. Hopefully, another time we'll come back and do another session and we'll talk about a lot of other things,
I'd love
business
to.
and life. Beautiful. John, thank you very, very much for joining me. Gang, thank you for joining us and listening and watching this episode. If you know someone that could benefit from this conversation, please forward the link to them and or mention them in a comment on whichever platform you're watching and send them the link and share the love. And please like and comment if you have any questions for me or John, particularly more for John about any cases or whatever you have going on in your mind. Put them in the comments of the show and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. You've been listening and watching another episode of the Executive Hub. Mustafa Hussein, yours truly, and my guest, John Richmond. Hope you guys have a great day and we'll see you in our next episode. Bye now.